are back. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay and Urban Miaris. I didn't put your name in there because we have to go back to Judge Samowski and make sure we change that legally, okay?
Exactly.
So, and we have with us one of our regulars here that we love to have, Miss Alexandra German.
This is our Women in Business.
Yes. So, and we need to eventually get Alexandra to learn, to take the pictures before we get on air.
Yeah.
So how's it going, Alex?
Everything is great. I'm so excited to have my best friend Jamie Dent here, and Jamie is the owner of Point Loma Electric. I think it's the best electrical service company in San Diego. I've seen their job, and it's clean, it's nice. They don't even leave a drop of anything after even they cut the wall. I like it. Do you still guys do the red carpet when you come in?
Oh yeah, we like to say that we leave it cleaner than when we found it. We should sort of maybe open up a cleaning service on the side as an alternate service.
I know. I should call you guys and say I need electrical jobs. So
they'll clean your house?
Yeah. Never send an electrician in to clean. Electricians are expensive cleaning ladies.
Yeah, but Alex can do that. Okay, she'll pay the fee, right?
Yes. Do you take personal notes?
So.
IOUs are fine.
Anyway, well, Alex, typically I would say this is just being two friends, being a little bit biased towards each other. But the good news is I've known Jamie since the last time you introduced her to us, which was, a year and a half ago, something like that. And Point Loma Electric is a wonderful company that I've gotten involved with to do a number of things. So welcome, Jamie.
Thanks for having me.
Great. So tell us a little bit about Point Loma Electric. You had a couple things you wanted to have our listeners chime into. So tell us what you're doing.
Well, Point Loma Electric is an electrical contractor, and we specialize in working in older homes. So any house that has things that don't work, you want to hang a light, you want to upgrade your electrical, that's what we do. Since we specialize in older homes, a lot of what we do are updating and bringing old houses into the 21st century.
A lot of people don't realize in San Diego, we do have older homes. People think of San Diego as just being this new town with all these new developments.
Yeah, well, we've only been new for, about 50 years?
Well, anything older than 1980 is actually considered pretty old.
Yeah.
Now, what is the risk of having old electricity that hasn't been updated?
Well, it depends. The wires inside of your wall in general are not that much of a hazard. Where the problem comes is in the panel, which has a 25 to 35 year lifespan on average, and in the connections, the places where you plug things in. You plug your stuff in, you pull it out, you plug it in, you pull it out. It gets loose over time, and loose connections are what's really dangerous, because if there's any air gap, you can cause a little spark to jump, and that's where you have your hazards.
Well, I remember we had a house, we still have it in Claremont, and it's just not enough power to support all the electrical devices that we have now.
That's true. When houses were built, especially the ones in the 50s and 60s, and there's tons of those in San Diego, when those were built, you were lucky if you had a vacuum cleaner. That was considered the height of luxury for that wife to have a vacuum cleaner and not to have to use a sweeper. We didn't have microwaves. We didn't have hair dryers.
We didn't have dishwashers oftentimes.
Dishwashers, LED, big screen TVs. So the houses don't have enough power.
I know, computers, cell phones, iPad.
Yeah.
Yeah, and whatever's not being used is being recharged. The batteries are being recharged, so it's crazy.
Right, and everybody's got those strips. They'll plug this strip into the wall so that they can have all their things plugged into it, but that can't be good.
No, it's actually what we consider an electrical hazard. We actually are working on a printout right now where we are handing out a handout where people can see all the common electrical hazards and what they can do about them. And the thought just flew right out of my head, but one of the
risks? One of the risks?
One of the big risks, there it is when people use extension cords as permanent wiring. And the other thing that we see that's horrible, and I saw it in your house, Alexi.
when my dad said he can fix
He
it.
fixes it.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
They took lamp cord. You know the lamp cords that you
Oh,
have
no.
plugging into the wall?
Yeah.
And they cut off the ends and they run it across the wall and
Oh,
run
no,
it
he
over to
didn't.
something. He did.
He did.
All
He's
over
like,
her
oh, don't worry about it. I'll fix it. Your electricity goes out. Don't worry. Just give me a couple of hours.
Oh.
And then Jim and Jamie come over and they're like, oh, you want to burn your house?
Wow. Scary.
Lamp cords are not meant to use.
So in other words, if we set up regular parties and invite Jim and Jamie over there, it may cost us a little bit more, but at least we'll live in safety.
Exactly.
I was fortunate to, Jamie was also my client. Jim and Jamie bought a house a few years ago, and it was so funny going with them looking at houses because Jim would go and look at electrical panel, and he would be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So I still sometimes send him pictures of some electrical panel that looks kind of wrong.
As a homeowner, if you're not the original owner and you've got an older home, just imagine how many people have lived in that home before you've moved in, and you have no idea what they have done to the electric, to the system. And also your power surges, they have a limited shelf life.
Well, everybody's an electrician. Our gardener comes to us every week and he says, I do electrical. He keeps telling me, I can do your electrical, or I can help you out. Like, everybody's an electrician. And it's behind your walls. It's not fun to pay money for things that are in your walls that you don't see. It's really fun to spend money on cabinets and granite countertops and wood floors and furniture. You fork over your hard-earned money and like, oh, I can enjoy that. Electrical, somebody comes in, they make a little noise, they make a little hole, and it looks exactly the same. You sleep better, you can have peace of mind, but it's not nearly as much fun to pay for things that you don't
That's
see.
right. People, when they buy a home, expect that the inspection that they have will check their electric, but all they're doing is making sure all the circuits and switches work.
It's all superficial.
Yeah.
Yep. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Give us a tweet at CloseUpSD, email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com, or find our page on Facebook. We want to hear from you. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, here with Andrea Kay, Urban Miaris, Alex German, and our guest is Jamie Dent from Point Loma Electric. So, well, I can promise you one thing, Jamie, okay?
You're not going to try to do your own power electricity at your house?
While everybody else does wonders with screwdrivers and drills and all the great tools, I do wonders with a telephone, okay? Good. I can dial a contractor anytime I need something.
Dial 1-800 Loma Electric?
Yes.
It's my kind of customer.
Yeah. Well, you were talking before about everybody's an electrician. Well, no, they're not. You tell everybody what a real electrician is in terms of the trades.
Oh, that's a great question, yeah.
It's one of my favorite topics. In order to become a certified electrician in the state of California, we have some of the strictest regulations in the country. They have to go to school for 4 entire years, just like anybody else's college education. Then they have to have 8,000 hours, which is another 4 years.
8,000?
8,000.
Wow.
And that's before they can sit down and take the test to become a licensed journeyman. And in our trade, that's still considered really green, especially since we're residential and we're coming into situations where lots of hands have touched it. We consider someone who just had their test green until they've been out at least 5 years. So sometimes people will look at a price and say, oh, you charged me so much money. My lawyer costs less than that. And I said, well, I feel like saying, well, have your lawyer come and do it. And, these electricians are as educated as your attorney is. And there's a real shortage of them, by the way. I'd like to put a shout out for any certified electricians looking for good opportunities. But they're highly, highly trained. And then to work for us, they also have to be able to pass a drug screen, a background check, and have a clean DMV. So we've now ruled out like 99% of the labor pool.
Yeah. Well, let me throw something your way, or actually more of a kudos your way. I've seen a lot of contractors. I used to, when I was younger, I used to run an organization of contractors. And when I got together with Point Loma Electric, the company before you stepped in was a company of basically one electrician and some helpers, and not a lot of business savvy, not a lot of reaching out and trying to get help. And you have turned that company around. Amazingly so, and I've been there to witness a small piece of it. So, my hat's off to you to run a really tight organization and do it well.
Thank you.
That's a woman in business.
Heck yeah. How did you do that?
It was a lot of work. Most people in the trades are not business people. They figure, if I got in more money, if a customer paid me more money than the cost of the materials and what I would have made in my hourly wage, woohoo, I've made money, I'm doing good. They have no idea of what their costs are. They don't realize about insurance and all the other costs that are involved, all the taxes and regulations. So I came on, I started doing some marketing. We added another electrician and then another. We moved into an office, and then we started to put infrastructure in place so that we could handle a larger volume of calls. Now the big challenge is finding enough qualified electricians.
So you cleaned up the back room. That's what happened.
Yep, that's what I did.
Yep, and it's so common in the trades, the contracting trades, that these are people that worked for somebody else with their hammer, their tool belt, whatever it was, and then they decided to step into business for themselves, and it's a very difficult challenge when you love the trade, but you hate the business side of the world. So now the Point Loma Electric has the best of both worlds, because Jim, your husband, who runs the electrical or the contracting, the trade side, does a great job out in the field. He doesn't have to worry about coming home and doing all the books and records and what have you. So you've done a great job of turning that around.
Thank you. A lot of single man contractors, you ask them, are you making money? How do you know if you're making money? And they say, well, if I have money in the bank, I must be making money. If I put in more than I took out this week, I'm doing good. But they really don't have a grasp of the true numbers.
Well, good grief, when it takes 4 years of school and you got 4 years of this, and I mean what they have to go through to be qualified. When do they have time to learn business? And then when they start the business and they're out working in the field all day long, then they come home at the end of the day, they're short on time to actually run the business end of it effectively.
Yeah.
Well, it's any business. It's the real estate business. Most of us, we work in our business, not on our business.
Right.
There is a great book.
Perfectly said.
There's a great book, The E-Myth by Michael Gerber, and he's talking about working on your business versus working in your business. Mm-hmm. Because then when you work on your business, you can step outside and you can really think, where you're going and, see the big picture. That's what Jamie is doing.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of women in business, though, you're hoping that you can get more women in the trades, right?
I would love, 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 love to have female electricians. There are a few, and they're few and far between, but if there are any out there, please give us a call, because we would be thrilled to have female electricians.
Right. Well, before we start wrapping up, there's one point that I want to get at. Because you like working on older homes, or you have the skill set to work on older homes, that is not typical in the electrical business. Tell us what that means. I think a lot of the keys are, when you get behind the walls, and tell us more.
Well, if you're working on new construction or industrial, an electrician would go to a job, put on their tools, and start just running the wires. The walls are wide open. For what we do, you're working with individuals. You've got to talk to the homeowners. They have dogs there. They've got furniture that's maybe blocking the outlets that you want to get to. There might be children underfoot and toys. Some houses are cleaner than others. And you can't...
How kind.
Yeah.
Very diplomatic.
Yeah.
We've had our share of hoarder houses.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they're out there. And you have to be able to see what's behind the walls. So it's not open. They have to go up in the attic and crawl up in the attic, crawl under the house, and try to figure out ways to get wires up through the walls without being able to access it and see it with your eyes. And it's also much harder for troubleshooting if something is not working. If your outlet is not working, it's rarely in the outlet that's not working. It's usually somewhere else.
So you're like a detective.
It's a lot of detective work, and that's why it requires such a high level of skill to do residential work, even though a lot of electricians consider it kind of lower on the hierarchy of electrical work.
Great. Well, we're starting to run short on time. Tell our listeners how they find out more about Point Loma Electric.
You can find us by telephone at 619-224-0672, or you can find us online at pointlomaelectric.com.
Great.
Wonderful.
Well, Jamie, thanks for being with us.
And thank you for having me.
Great. You're listening to Close Up on San Diego Business here on KCBQ, streaming live at AM1170theanswer.com. Send us a tweet at CloseUpSD, or just find our page on Facebook. You can always email me at barry@closeupsandiego.com. Let me know what you think. I'm your host, Barry Waxler, and we'll be right back after a word from our sponsors.